All right, guys, welcome back. This is Realize the Self, and I'm your host, Mark. And in today's episode, we're going to look at a very interesting topic that I don't think gets a lot of examination upon a different mode of or a viewpoint. So, we're going to talk about alchemy. What if transmuting lead into gold is actually a metaphor for self realization? So, alchemy's promise of turning lead into gold was never about metallurgy. Read psychologically, especially through a Jungian lens, it's a symbolic map of ego maturing into the self, or what many traditions call self realization. Here's how it goes stage by stage. So, lead to gold as inner transformation. The first part is lead, the raw ego, the unconscious identification. Lead is heavy, dull, opaque. Psychologically, it represents the unrefined ego, identified with roles, defenses, trauma, desire, and fear, reactive rather than reflective, driven by unconscious patterns. This is the I am what happened to me stage. The ego believes it is the personality mask. There's weight here, suffering, repetition, and a sense of being stuck. Alchemy doesn't reject lead, it begins with it. Nothing else is available. So, number two, Nigredo, 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 breakdown, shadow, death. The first operation is Nigredo, or blackening. This is the descent. Psychologically, it's the old identities that dissolve, the meaning collapses, shadow materials surfaces, depression, confusion, or existential crisis often appear. This is not failure, it's ego disintegration. The false coherence cracks, alchemists call this putrefaction. What is dead must rot so its essence can be freed. In self realization terms, this is when you realize what I thought I was isn't enough. What I thought I was isn't who I am. Number three, albedo, purification and differentiation. Next comes albedo, whitening. Here, awareness separates from identification. You begin to observe thoughts instead of being possessed by them. Values clarify, compassion for the self emerges. Psychologically, this is the birth of the witness consciousness. The ego is no longer dissolved, but it's no longer sovereign either. This is a stage where people say, it's not my thoughts, I'm not my thoughts, I'm not my past. The psyche starts to feel lighter. Number four, citrinitas, illumination and integration. Often omitted in simplified models, citrinitas or yellowing is crucial. Here, insight matures into wisdom. Opposites reconcile, such as light, dark, or strength, vulnerability. Meaning returns but transform. This is where the ego begins to serve rather than dominate. Life feels purposeful without being rigid. There's clarity without ignorance. Number five, rubido, gold, the self, wholeness. Finally, rubido or reddening. Gold isn't perfection, it's coherence. It's psychologically, ego aligns with the self, personality becomes a vessel, not a prison. One acts from inner authority rather than compulsion. The ego still exists, but it's transparent, it reflects something larger through it. This is self realization not as escape, but as embodiment. And so, some of the key alchemical insights are alchemy never destroys lead. Gold contains lead, but transformed. Likewise, the ego is not eliminated, it is refined, disciplined, and integrated. Suffering becomes meaning, identity becomes expression. The philosopher's stone isn't a substance, it's the capacity to hold opposites without collapsing into either. Or simply put, ego says, I am this, self says, I am that which experiences this. And so we could relate this to Advaita Vedanta and their philosophy, and it's very quite compelling and quite similar if you look at it and compare the two. So basically, Advaita Vedanta reads the alchemical story more radically. The work's not becoming gold, but recognizing you were never led to begin with. So this is quite interesting. Alchemy begins with avidya to vidya, ignorance to knowledge, or jnana, or gnosis. Led to gold in the Upanishadic vision. Led is ignorance, or avidya, ego identity. In avidya, Advaita, the lead is mistaken identity. The ego, the ahamkara, says, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the doer, I am separate. The Upanishads call this superimposition or adhyasa. The self is confused with what it illumines. When the self is not known, one thinks, I am the body. The Duranyaka Upanishad. Nothing is wrong with the self, only misrecognition. Nigredo, number 2, is the same as dukkha or disenchantment. Suffering is not a punishment, it's a diagnostic tool. Repeated dissatisfaction exposes the instability of ego-based identity. Pleasure fades, role collapses, control fails. This is Advaitic equivalent of Nigredo. The dark night where worldly meaning no longer satisfies. The finite is perishable, the infinite alone is real. Chandogya Upanishad. And only the self is real. You are that. You are the self. Everything else is impermanent. Everything else is finite. Only the self is imperishable, infinite, everything. And that's who you are. The seeker becomes right. Number 3, albedo, viveka, and neti, or discrimination. Here begins self-inquiry, or atma vichara. The practice, I am aware of the body, not this. I am aware of thoughts, not this. I am aware of motions, not this. Remember, anything that you can perceive with the senses is not this, is not you, is not the true self. This is neti, not this, not this. What remains is not an object, but pure awareness. That which cannot be seen, but by which seeing is seen. Kena Upanishad. The ego is no longer dissolved, is seen through. Number 4, Citrinitas, or Mahavakyas, great realizations. Now, the Upanishadic declarations strike home. Tat Svam Asi, thou, that thou art. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, or the self. I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. This is illumination, not belief, not trance, but direct knowing. Aparoksha jnana. The seeker realizes the witness I took to be mine is what I am. You are the witness, the observer, the silence within. Number 5, rubido, jnana and juvan mukti, or living liberation. Golden Advaita is recognition without return to ignorance. Nothing new is produced, nothing old is destroyed. The ego continues functionally, but there is no doership, no binding identity, no existential fear. From the Bhagavad Gita, though acting, he does not act. Though enjoying, he does not enjoy. And remember, this is Juvan Mukti, freedom while living. Ramana Maharshi says, if you are the doer, you are the sufferer. So when you become confused that you are in this movie and you're actually doing stuff, that's you with the misidentification that you are this character in the movie, in the film. And if you think you're the doer, you're going to be the sufferer as well. So you could just transcend all that, realize the self, and realize you are not the doer. You can also, that means you're not the sufferer. You are the self, ever abiding in peace, tranquility, bliss, and happiness. And that is your true nature. The crucial difference from other alchemies: Western alchemy transforms lead into gold. Advaita reveals lead was never real. Ego is the appearance, or mithya. World equals the appearance. Self is Sat Chit Ananda, being, consciousness, bliss. Bliss can also equate to love. Sufis were really big on the love aspect. A philosopher's stone is knowledge, jnana, gnosis, not practice. You are already that. Bondage is only imagination, sankhara. And so ego doesn't become the self, ignorance dissolves, and the self stands revealed, unchanged, ever free. And that is who you are. And that's a fascinating viewpoint, another look at alchemy and the alchemical process. And that could have been very well what they were talking about, rather than the physical lead into gold. The real secret of all secrets, the gem of all gems, is actually self-realization. It's knowing who you are at the deepest level, and who that is actually everything. Beyond the mind, beyond the body, beyond the senses, beyond this Maya, this illusory world, you are infinity. And that is the entire premise of the book. The entire nature of why I'm making these videos is to remind you who you are. And for those that want to listen, please listen and use this information to help realize the self. For those that don't, then it's quite okay. Maybe you come back here many more lifetimes, or maybe you need to suffer more. Maybe you need to do things because you're immersed in this illusory world of the dream. And that's quite okay. Whatever happens is meant to happen, and quite possibly from what the ancient teachings teach, that everything's already pre-programmed, which makes you think that we're in some kind of computer simulation or AI type of computer simulation. I got to do another video. I got to do a video on that one of these days. But thank you for being here. We'll see you on the next time. See you next time, and